right.
3, 2, 1. Welcome back to PPR Podcast number 148, brought to you by the San Diego Strike Force. My name is Paul. To my right is the star of the show, Mr. Bert Grossman, star of the podcast. Bert,
yes.
Would you introduce your personal friend?
The real star, Mr. Jason Brown, JB Show, Netflix, published author, cigar aficionado, whiskey specialist, you name it.
Just an overall good
Renaissance
guy.
man. Yeah.
Renaissance man. You know what I tune into him now for is barbecuing tips.
He does that too.
Yeah. Coach Harabaugh, you do it all.
Smoking, man. Jack of all trades, master of none, they say.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to ask you the first question because, this is going to be the hot thing because people think. I saw somewhere where you said by this time next week, Harabaugh will be in the NFL. And I think absolutely not. Tell me why you think so.
As I've heard from some real inside sources.
Not the Chargers, though, right?
Yeah. That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing Chargers. Why? First of all, it makes perfect sense. They're already talking about suspending him next year for the beginning of the season. There's no way Harbaugh's going to go along with that. I think he wants to give them a big old, crap sandwich, to be honest, the NCAA, that is. He suspended the guy twice. He missed 6 games. Do you think he's going to really sit around and be suspended again by these characters called the NCAA? I think not. I think he sees his brother having success. I think he wants to play his brother again. And why not the Chargers? They are roster ready, quarterback ready, and they are ready. He doesn't have to rebuild. He's not going to a rebuild. He's going to go into a team that is ready to go, and there's no more ready team for his suiting than the Chargers and Herbert and that defense of personnel. So I think Keenan Allen, I don't know what they do with Mike Williams, probably move on, but the Chargers going to have to get a little bit better athletically, a little younger maybe on the perimeter, but that team fits Harabaugh to a T. And I don't think the Raiders have the quarterback for him. I don't think the Commanders have the quarterback for him. And, E-Dub, Eric Weddle's on my show every Monday. He heard the same thing as I've heard from some folks, and it makes perfect sense to me. I'd be shocked if he's not the Chargers head coach by the end of the week.
No, we're betting on that. What do you want to bet on that? A bottle?
Yeah.
All right.
There is some ownership issues, though, that might make a candidate leery, right?
The Spanos has come out, though. They've come out and said, we don't want to be tabbed as the tightwad owners in the NFL that everyone's tabbed us to be, as you guys know better than me, being down there in your neck of the woods for all those years, and Bert playing there and everything else. I've heard they've come out and said, we're going to throw whatever we have to throw at the right guy. And who else is the right guy?
Well, here's my problem with them is Harabaugh is the right guy probably, but he loves a physical team, opposite of what the Chargers always are not.
But he would change that.
Well, does he have the time to change it? Salary cap again, they're 40,
How
50 million over.
How quickly did he change the 49ers around?
I haven't finished my point yet. So does Harabaugh end up being GM and the nepotism stops there with John Spanos and Dean Spanos and they have no call and they're just figureheads? Or because he's going to want the whole ball wax. He's not going to come in there and listen to John Spanos and AJ and the rest of them.
Yeah, I agree. Just like Belichick, he's going to want to do the same thing. And if people are saying he's too old and he's been picking bad and all this, then I think Belichick would say, well, screw you. I think Harabaugh says the same thing. But Belichick has rings. Harabaugh is chasing one at the NFL level. I don't know if there's a better guy out there. There's not a hotter name, number one.
Or Jason, if you're the Spanoses and you could have either, who would you want, Harabaugh or Belichick?
I think the Belichick thing is kind of over in a lot of people's heads and players' heads. And I think, the Rex Ryans of the world going on ESPN and using that platform to say that he wears these players out and they're over the old school, blah, blah, blah. I think you lean towards a little bit younger Harabaugh, who is a quarterback guy, offensive guy, and fresh off winning at least some sort of championship. Maybe not a Super Bowl, but it's still a national title. And he's always ascending from the University of San Diego when he went undefeated and the FCS kept him out of the playoff to Stanford going 12-1 or whatever they did, and now takes the Niners to the Super Bowl. I think he's the hottest name out there, and I think you go with that approach. If you're a Herbert guy and you want to see Herbert have the most success, I think Harabaugh is the most conducive for that.
Hey, can I ask one question real quick?
You can ask whatever you want. You're the boss.
Can we go back to Harabaugh? You're talking about being suspended and whatnot. In your view, as a competitive coach, what he is accused of doing or what he did, I don't even follow it that closely, trying to swipe somebody's signs, how big of a moral violation in your moral code is that?
It's a laughable joke. It's a mockery. I think it's comical. I think it is the biggest witch hunt in the history of college football besides the witch hunt they did with Pete Carroll and Reggie Bush. I think this is exactly what it is. It forced Pete Carroll to leave SC. It's going to force Harbaugh to leave Michigan. This is what it is. He's winning too much, and he's doing it his way. The players like the guy. The coaches, his colleagues, don't. It's clear as day. I've been in the same scenario. I clearly understand it. They haven't liked him since USD. Down at his colleagues voted them out of the playoffs at USD when he went undefeated. Let's be clear about it. They don't like how he moves. They don't like his cocky, arrogant manner. And that's why it truly is. It's not a Michigan thing. Everybody still signs. You guys know this, Bert. Everybody does it. And everyone has a street agent they pay to film games 7 weeks ahead of time. Let's make no mistake. And this thing is comical to me. And I've talked to several Power 5 D1 coaches, and we all have laughed. It's all a joke. It's like, man, if they only knew. That's really what they said. And this is what it is. We all have these street agents. We've all taken this. Why do you think Chip Kelly started doing the signs? Because it was a mockery, and it was basically slapping you in the face saying, hey, still what the Stephen A. Smith sign says. Still that. Because we already know we steal each other's signs. That's what we do.
Yeah, Chip Kelly steals plays, let alone signs. He steals plays,
exactly
too.
Right.
Were you watching last night when they would have a timeout and they went to the aerial camera? Michigan had guys holding the banner up to block the camera's view. So obviously they're in tune with what's going on. Maybe they've just taken it to a different level.
They're making it a joke is what they're doing because it's so comical that Harbaugh has taken it and ran with it, and that's why the players have bought in and run through a wall for the man because he's used it to his advantage and said, hey, it's such a joke that we're going to go ahead and use it towards us. We're going to cover cameras. We're going to do everything to make it really look like we're doing something because, by the way, all these guys do the same thing. Come on, man. It's really a joke. And it's funny because let me ask you this question. Do you guys think they'd care if Michigan was losing?
No.
No.
Come on.
Really? I have a special contempt, though, for the NCAA. I find that governing body. The NCAA could go away tomorrow, and college athletics would be just fine. In fact, it would be better.
I agree. They need a commissioner in athletic. Football needs a commissioner solely, first of all. And then second of all, we all know what the acronym means. I don't want to say it on your show, get you lit up, but non-caring a-holes of America is what it stands for. They don't care about these kids. They don't care about any of this stuff. And they haven't yet to pay a player. They've always figured out a way to finagle their way out of either A, paying the kids. Now they've got collectives to go pay for them. But they're still the judge, the jury, and the executioner when it comes to suspending coaches for a hamburger, but then allowing Arch Manning to have a $200,000 Saturday visit at Texas. Make it make sense. I mean, I'm just saying it's such a mockery, man. It's
is off the charts. Hypocrisy off the charts. And then like the whole student-athlete moniker, I mean, everything is predicated by TV money. And if a kid has to miss 9 days of class to accomplish that TV deal, then
that's cool.
They'll make it up on the weekends.
March Madness is the worst. March Madness kids miss more class. They miss more class than the college bowl games era. And I don't know. I don't get it. I just wish they would go away with it. And I think the Power Fives, the SECs, and the Greg Sankeys of the world are going to try to abolish the NCAA and make a power uniform conference, which is going to put the South, the East, the Midwest all in one Power 5 group. And they're all going to be one league, and it's going to abolish the NCAA. I think it's going to happen in the next 5 years. And I think the NCAA has a real serious issue on their hands right now because I think the 12-game playoff, contrary to many of everyone else's belief, maybe yours too, I think it's going to be the worst thing that we've ever had. I think the 12-team playoff is only allowing the leash to be extended on player empowerment, and you're going to see kids opt out of playoff games, and now everyone's going to say, oh, man, the 13th team should have been in. and you're going to have the same fight you have with the 5th and the 6th team this year. And it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And I don't want to see Liberty play a first-round playoff game and get beat by 70. I just don't. I don't think it's very conducive to – we had a great playoff, these 4 teams. Keep it at this. Or, you know what I mean? Or maybe 6. Maybe put Florida State and Georgia in. They should have did it this year, if any year, just to do a trial run. Why can't they? They always say they can do all these things. Oh, we can't do it last minute. Yeah, you can. You did it for COVID. So, I'm trying to figure out why – the NCAA says these things. It's just so hypocritical, and it's really a lot of hypocrisy at its finest. And bureaucrats always win at the end of the day with the political side.
Hey, what did you think on? Because the kid from Washington, Penix, just killed it in Texas, then did not kill it in this game. I mean, what do you think that does for his draft, or does it do nothing one game?
If I'm drafting and I saw that game last night, he falls completely off my board. As a quarterback guy, a guy that played at the position, a guy that coached 8 of them in the league, there's no way you can show up to that big boy game and never hit the 5th step of your drop and climb the pocket and take a chin shot and deliver an accurate ball in the biggest game on the biggest stage. You fall, in my opinion. And everything he did, he ran. And I like the kid. I met the kid. I like the kid a lot. But he's 24. He's had 2 major surgeries on his knees. He already was going into this thing as one of the older quarterbacks. We're looking back at the Chris Winkie era, right? The 28-year-old that got drafted and kind of busted. He was too old. I already think he has that, that negative connotation about him from GMs. Now you see a game where you're playing an NFL style of defense, and he won't step into any throws. And he's shying away. If you watch the game, he's throwing it and he's ducking. And I'm like, oh, my goodness. He misses that corner route on 4th down, which is a 60-yard touchdown, which is a backbreaker to Michigan at that point. And if people realize, he's 2 throws away from them winning the game. And he couldn't even do that. And that's why people think it was a dominant performance by Michigan. It was up front. But at the same time, as you know, Bert, they're 2 plays away from winning the game on the other side. Yeah. And so I just don't.
2 throws.
I think he really hurt it because we live in a what have you done for me lately society, and sport profession is a results-oriented one. We're going to only remember the last game. We're not going to remember the Texas game. And I'm going to go on record on your show. I'm the only one kind of that's been out there that said, I didn't believe Texas should have been in. I thought they should have jumped them and put Georgia in the game, the tournament.
I think you're right.
I really do.
Hey, before we leave the game as evaluating quarterbacks, why is J.J. McCarthy considered such a second-tier or third-tier guy? It seemed like every time they needed a play, he came up and delivered.
I don't know that. They got him as number 5 ranked quarterback. I can name 12 right now who I wouldn't even draft, but I would draft him ahead of him. I think he gives me Brock Purdy vibes on a loaded roster like Frisco. He gives me that so-on-so Cam Newton made famous game manager scenario. I think that is who he is. There's a reason he threw for 135 yards last night. There's a reason Harbaugh kept him out of harm's way. Because if he was the guy like we all think, and if he is the 5th best quarterback in the draft, why ain't he back there slanging it? He's not. He's boot naked in. He's throwing screen. He's trying to throw wide pop. He's not back there throwing dig corner route concepts. Let's just be honest. He's not that guy. He's a really flashy, athletic kid. He reminds me of Brock Purdy. I don't believe he's an NFL talent that's going to be sustainable in the NFL for a long time. And I just don't see it. I don't see a top 5 quarterback at all. And I think he ends up falling as well just because of the attributes he has. He doesn't have the skill set of any of these guys that we think are great. He doesn't have the Caleb Williams. He doesn't have the Drake May. He doesn't have the Penix. He doesn't have Sam Hartman. He doesn't have any of these people's skill set, and we put him in the top 5. I kind of find that shocking. I just think that team is loaded, 19 draftable players on that Michigan team. I've been saying it all year, the most loaded roster in football. This was Harbaugh's year. He got it done. And they did it with a quarterback that they protected with a hell of an O-line and run game. And that's just what it is. They don't have Mario Manningham out there at receiver, by the way, or Mario Edwards. They have nobody at wideout. Michigan really got hurt at wideout. I thought Washington's corners did do a good job, and we're going to lock them down because of the quarterback play, and that's what happened, but the run game just killed them.
So, I talked about it. We talk about so much how the game is, all these concepts now, this video game offenses, speed, score. But I could have turned that on. That could have been the 1982 Michigan team. Just like you said, simple high school concepts, but just jam it down your throat. And Washington in the beginning was, I think you put up, like, somebody should be in the Bears front. Like, get angles on these guys. They're just mauling you. And they ended up doing that. But it was just, I could have been watching Bo Schembechler in 1981. It's probably the same offensive playbook, but just killed it.
I agree, Bert. Like, this is the thing. If I coach again, if I ever went back and coached again, I would get into 21 personnel, ISO, I, and run ISO, power, F kick, F counter, because defenses don't see it anymore. They're scared to get hit in the mouth. Mm-hmm. Linebackers aren't fill an A-gap fullback and hitting them in the mouth no more. They're turning it down now, because the rules have allowed defenses to say, screw this. I don't want to be fined. I don't want to get kicked out of a game. I don't want targeting call. And it's slowed down defenses to a point to where the physicality of this game is nowhere near what it was when we were younger. And it's really a shame because it's hard. It's a hard watch nowadays to watch this gladiator sport we once called football now turn into flag football. And it's really sad because defenses are the ones, and I played quarterback. I think bad offenses have created and put defenses in harm's way. That's saying it lightly. And I think that quarterbacks, how about you get fined or get thrown out of a game for lighting up a receiver over the middle with a bad ball? How about you get fined? But, no, we don't. We find a guy like Kareem Jackson who's playing the game the right way, in my opinion, by hitting you in the mouth. But guess what? We're too soft as society to agree to that, and we're willing to just – it's protection. Well, why do we have more injuries than we've ever had in the NFL, Bert? Why? 900 injuries, more than ever before. I got Dr. Jesse Morse on my show every Tuesday. He's an NFL guy, been a doctor for the NFL for a long time. New England Patriots, he lived in Miami. 900-plus injuries, and it's a safer game? Come on, man. This is a mockery. It's a joke. And Bert, you and I play with bike helmets. Why are we using these Space Cadet alien helmets now that are supposedly $3,000 a pop, and we got more concussions than we've ever had?
You couldn't get the air pump anymore. You had to get on eBay, so they stopped doing it. Remember and pump that up. I got it.
Jason, you make me laugh.
All right, I got another question for you. All right, you got one for this?
No, go ahead.
What? All right, tell me here, because I keep looking at this Raiders thing, and I'm like, why have you not hired Antonio Pierce yet? And they messed it up last time, and they messed it up real bad. Almost the same situation. I don't think these owners realize, like, they see the fancy guy, but the culture and for these grown millionaire men to respect somebody is really hard to find and actually play for them nowadays. And they got the guy sitting right there, and they won't pull the trigger.
I talked about that this morning on my show, the Coach AB show with Big Smitty. I said it. I grew up with Antonio, obviously, JUCO product. We all grew up in Compton together. He's a Paramount product. He was a head coach at Long Beach Poly when I was a head coach at Long Beach Cabrillo. So we coach a lot of the same kids. I've hosted his camps at Compton College when I was the head coach. Here's the thing I got to say. The longer you wait is the more of a slap in the face to the man waiting. Because I'm going to say, I'm going to go interview these 6 retreads, 2 75-year-olds and a 60-year-old, and then some other guy that's never won. You just hold tight, AP. Hold tight. Even though the whole Las Vegas backs you up, your players love you, Max Crosby and everybody else, Jack wants to play for you, we're going to hold tight. And then you're supposed to eat that and take it. See, that's when we got
required to interview minority candidates first?
He is minority.
I know, but the Rooney Rule's already in effect. He's there.
He's there. Yeah, they could hire him tomorrow.
So they don't even though they can hire him right now without having to do the.
Yeah.
Yep.
I thought
and that Rooney thing is gone. I think they got rid of the Rooney Rule thing last year, by the way.
That's a farce too. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Well, that was a joke. Hey, can I ask a question?
Great.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Jason, I have 2 questions. Do you want to coach again?
Not real bad.
Why?
Not with this landscape. I'd be fired tomorrow. Let's be honest. I'd be fired tomorrow. But I'll assimilate. Let's make no mistake about it. I'm not going to be ignorant. I think ignorance is life-threatening. I do understand protocols. I've had NFL guys. I had Kirk Herbstreit on my show last week, and he knows the same thing. These people are scared to hire someone that wants autonomy. That's why you mentioned the Harabaugh thing. He wants full autonomy. And the guys that win have it. Nick Saban, Dabo, Pete Carroll. If you have full autonomy, meaning that, no offense, if I fart in the wind and you smell it and I get fired, that's not full autonomy. Let's just be honest. I should have some leeway with what I do in the program, and there's going to be hiccups on the road and the bumps on the road that we're going to have some screw-ups, and I need to get a free pass on a lot of that. A lot of coaches don't have that. The first time you do something, you're fired, and that's not what these guys want to do anymore, and I'm not going to go back into the profession and have to worry about looking over my shoulder because, you know, I coached the kid hard, because they don't know how hard I love the kid either, because they don't get to see that part of it. So it's real simple. Go look on Twitter and see if you've ever seen a kid talk bad about me.
No.
I haven't. But yet I'm the outlaw. I'm the devil to all these administrators, because they don't want to deal with a strong minded alpha that loves kids and wants to see kids win and succeed in life, not just on the field. And I don't know if I can go back and do that in this, this society. Look at your guy down at St. Augustine. I mean, this is what we see, every day. And it's hard to go back to that. I would have to have full autonomy. It'd have to be the right position.
And that's a point with the St. Augustine's thing. I mean, that was one of the things that I struggle with, because I love Saints. I coach there. But when you see 20 players crying and just saying nothing but love for somebody, how do you go against that? That's what it's supposed to be about.
Justify. Yeah. It blows my mind, man. These guys are just blinded by ignorance. And the truth of the matter, they rather listen to the single parent, the mother, for the most part, that has not a clue about this profession or industry, and then they cater to them in the classroom as well. And now you wonder why our teachers are in dire need of help. They're already underpaid, and now they got to deal with, kids throwing erasers at the back of their heads and fighting them in class. I mean, it's created a monster. And until we fix that, we need more people. And frankly, not to boast,
that's
but
why
like
you should go back, Jason.
We need more people like myself and Bert in the world like that. But the thing is, they're not going to hire us. They're already going to be on pins and needles if somebody ever did hire us, because they want you to fall in line and do it this way and listen to little Joey's mama. Not listening to Joey's mama. Never going to do it.
All right.
So wait, I got one scenario I got to throw at her.
Okay.
Babel gets fired today, right? At Tennessee.
He did.
Yeah. He goes to New England. Belichick does a farewell tour and becomes DC for 1 year at Alabama. Does that happen?
No.
Nah. I think Saban retires. Before that, he'll retire. Kirby Smart will take the Alabama job, and Dan Lanning takes the Georgia job.
No, I'm just saying Saban, not Saban, Belichick takes 1 year as DC at Alabama just for the fun of it. Friendship with Saban. No?
Nah, I think Belichick wants to. He's chasing the all-time win record.
Exactly.
So he's going to take that record and beat Shula. And I think Kraft, to be honest, I think Belichick stays. I don't think he leaves, because Kraft would look even worse than he did by losing Brady if he loses Belichick and he goes to, let's just say, the Raiders and breaks the record.
And wins, yeah.
I think Kraft's in a no-win situation. I think you either mutually part ways, which I can see Belichick doing, or he stays and say, hey, listen, Bill, you need to coach. Cook the food, but I'll buy the groceries.
There you go. Nick Sirianni, does he get fired if they lose this first round?
I don't think so. He went to the Super Bowl. He's had 2 really good years in a row. I don't think so. The guy I think gets fired, which is another scenario. I'll throw you this scenario before you ask this question. How about this one is the one I've said on my show that I see happening because of, if this thing goes sour in New England and Belichick and Kraft depart ways in a way that's not really nice. If McDermott and Buffalo get put out game 1, he's getting fired, and Belichick might be sitting there looking like, let me give New England a crap sandwich and take over Josh Allen and a Buffalo defense that's already ready to go. That is a scenario that nobody's talking about that I think would be great for football.
Wow.
All right.
Wow.
It makes sense.
All right.
Wow.
Now the question I wanted to ask you. I went back and looked at some of the stuff on YouTube from the series.
Barbecue or
No, not the barbecue series. The Last Chance U. In hindsight, now that you're removed from it a little bit, for Jason Brown, was that being involved in that? Was that a net positive or a net negative? Would you do it again?
It was a net. For who is the question? You'd have to rephrase the question to who, because I got 13 coaches Division I jobs off my hires, out of my hires and my assistants. I hired 13 guys coaching Division I football. 101 kids Division I scholarships, more than any 3-year span JUCO in the history of the sport and the profession. And there's 9 in the NFL right now. One of them's a damn near Pro Bowler in Jermaine Johnson for the Jets. First rounder, my 10th first rounder, my 28th overall NFL player. The positives are there for those guys. Who was I to turn down the show, which I originally did do, contrary to belief? Because I didn't want to be on no show, and I didn't care about the show. I never even knew it existed. I still haven't watched my own self. So having said that, for those guys, I won't never regret it and take it back, because those guys got great opportunities, and that's what a job of a head coach is. Get you where you could not get yourself. I don't believe those guys get where they are now without me in that regard. Not being boastful, but I'm just being honest. Having said that, on my end of it, I don't have rearview mirrors in the car for one reason. I don't look backwards. I'm not going that way. I can't go back and say I regret it, because I have the big shoulders of this thing that I accepted it. It is what it is. Now, did I know what I was getting into? No, because I'm not an actor. I did what I thought was best for those players, which ultimately proved me right. I did right by them. But at the same time, since I would not change who I was, because I'm not a fake person, and I wasn't going to show fakeness to my kids, because kids recognizes real, and those kids knew they weren't going to play for a fake guy. And that was the detriment. I did not, the microphone killed me just being a coach. And I've been told by Nick Saban, by Coach Sarkisian, by Lane Kiffin, JB, thank you for being who we are on a daily basis. We just don't get filmed 8 hours a day. So I don't know. Did you hear Kirby Smart in the national title game last year get recorded?
Mm-hmm.
Sounded like me, didn't it? Or did it just sound like a football coach? It's unbelievable how we're so quick to judge when, to me, it's ignorant. I wish I could go to Walmart and judge you bagging my groceries every day, but I don't.
So am I going to see you at the opener for Strike Force this year?
When is it?
I don't know, like April 1st or 2nd.
Is
I think it's
Carlos
the
playing
1st.
still? I think my kid Carlos back.
Yeah, he's back. Well, unless he goes, USFL or the new UFL or whatever.
Coach, if you come, the first round's on me.
All right. Me and Weddle will be there. E-Dub will be there. We'll come down there and chill.
Did you get Weddle to start drinking yet or no?
Nah, he won't drink. He's been to that. He comes out of the house and plays poker with me all the time, but he won't sip.
No, I'll get him his
That's
Gatorade.
all right. That's all right.
He's waiting. I messed
got
with him
the
all the time.
Amish
I said, he's
beard.
waiting to get called by the Rams or something to go back at 42 and win a Super Bowl.
He's training still.
All right, Jason, we're going to let you go. Thank you for doing this the second time. I know you're doing it for Bert, but it's greatly appreciated on my end. So I wish you nothing but good health, sir.
Always. Hey, tell who's down there in San Diego now?
Taylor still.
There's got to be some JUCO jobs. Go tell them,
There
hey,
is.
Coach Jake, the best JUCO coach in America is right here.
I think Southwestern and Grossmont are
Well, if it
open.
happens, you're coming on my show to announce it, okay?
Let's do it. Southwestern and Grossmont are open?
They're both
Yeah.
open.
What happened to Jordan?
I don't know what happened. I know they.
I know my good friend, dear friend in this business, Ed Carberry, was at Southwestern
Yeah.
for a long time. He got sick, and unfortunately, spoke to him about a year ago or so. That's a great, beautiful place down there.
Yeah.
I'm
that
neighbors
facility.
with Coach Carberry. I'll
Ed's a
bring you
great
up
dude.
next time I run into him almost weekly.
Oh, man. Ed and I go way back. He's a great dude.
Jason, podcast number 148 is over. Please go in peace and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, JB.
You too, brother.